Hey everyone, it's me, Justin, again, back for another review. This time I'm going to be talking about In the Heart of the Sea, the new Chris Hemsworth film that came out a few weeks ago, which, if you haven't seen by now, it's the movie about, if you haven't seen the trailers, it's the movie about him playing the first mate of the boat, the Essex, or whatever, I think that's what it's called, where they go after the sperm whale, which would later become the inspiration for Moby Dick. So I went to see this film on Christmas Day, actually, the same time I watched Krampus. So I got two movies that day. So going into this film, I actually saw a trailer for this like over a year ago, almost, like or actually in January of this year. So I was really looking forward to this because this is one of those films where just from the trailer alone, they put a lot of great shots of the ocean and a lot of great visuals that really were so beautiful to look at in the when you're watch if you would watch this film in IMAX. Sadly, I couldn't watch this film in IMAX 3D because some time delays, and I didn't have the money to go see it in IMAX. But I'm glad I got to see it in the theater though, because well, unfortunately, I didn't get to watch it in 3D, but I watched it in 2D, and I was actually surprised with this film. I actually didn't mind it. It's what the story goes is that Chris Hemsworth plays this fishing boat, or this fisherman who is want to be he wants to become a captain of the boat that this other captain, I forgot the guy's name who plays him, or I know the actor, I forgot the character's name in the film. So he wants to become a captain on this boat, and their plan is to go out to fish and to hunt a bunch of whales and bring them back, and to go on the biggest journey they've ever been to. And so he basically, throughout the first half of the film, I was actually really getting into it the most because him and the captain do this banter back and forth where him and the captain are fighting who does better orders with the men and all that when they're actually going after to hunt the sea animals. And there's a lot of competition going on. And so you really feel, and the performances are really good too. Like Chris Hemsworth, he really did a good job playing the laid back, or not laid back, the very stern first mate, Owen Chase, and I thought he was very phenomenal. I mean, let's face it, the guy can play Thor all he wants, but I like that he branched out into something like this because it really showed his skills as an actor, and he really does have a lot of charisma for this role. And I even like the captain too, Benjamin Walker, I think the guy's name. He was like the only thing I liked about that Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter film. That movie was just very unforgettable, but I thought he did fine. And you also get a couple other actors in the film too, like part of the crew. You get Cillian Murphy, who played Scarecrow from Batman Begins and the rest of the Dark Knight trilogy. He's in the film too. He plays one of the shipmates. And you also get a young boy played by Tom Holland, who is going to be the next Spider-Man in the upcoming Marvel's Civil War of Captain America. So it was nice to see him in an early appearance in this. And I thought the shipmates were really good too. They felt really scared in a lot of scenes. They thought they thought they felt very, you can really see the detail that they went into with the look of the film. Like when they go out in the sea, Ron Howard, who directed the film, made a lot of great shots of the ocean that looks superb, really beautiful, the cinematography. And when they actually go on their journey, you start to realize, well, at the beginning of the film, not to go into too many detail, the movie begins with one of the shipmates who's telling the story of his experience on the ship. And so the older guy who's telling the story is being interviewed by Herman Melville, who created the book Moby Dick later, who did the book Moby Dick. And so he's telling the story to him, and I do have a problem with this though, because throughout the entire film, there are scenes where he's clearly not in. He's telling the story of other characters that he's never interacts with. So I do kind of wonder why they keep coming back to him in like in the framing sequences where he's telling the story, but then throughout the film you see characters that he doesn't need to interact with, that they do their own thing. Which I understand they do that in a lot of films, but it really takes the focus out of the narrative for me. And so they go on a journey. They go after this. They learn about the legend about this sperm whale that is in the Atlantic. I think it was the Atlantic Ocean. And this whale is fucking huge. Like, you want to talk about a whale that's almost how do I put it? He's almost like the equivalent of I think they said 100 yards, or no, not 100 yards, even more than that. I think it was like maybe a little 200. I think 200 yards of this whale. This thing was huge, and I was a little when you see this whale for the first time. They have a beautiful shot where it sets it up, and he has his fin stick. They have his tail flipping out of the water, like you see in the trailer. It's a very beautiful. It's very visually stunning to look at in this film, and that's one of the things I really like about Ron Howard, how he set this up and telling the story too. But my biggest problem with the film probably is that the film does kind of mislead you to thinking that it's going to be just a straight up whale versus ship movie. The trailers are very misleading because after the ship crashes, it's really the journey. It's really a survival movie because throughout the entire film, you see them go through a lot of pain you see them. Well, I'm not going to spoil anything, but the characters go through a lot of shit in this film that's not even part of what the whale does. So, yeah, when this film goes on, you really see the struggle these men have to survive in their own little lifeboats after the ship crashes. And it really, I mean, yeah, and that's probably where the pacing kind of comes in a problem with because it is very slow as the movie goes along with them just being in the boat the whole time and other shit that keeps happening. But I really got into it overall. I mean, the pacing was slow, but at the same time, I did feel myself actually still getting the story, and it really captured a lot of the very brooding moods that these guys go through, and the bleak, just flat out, you know, it's hard to describe really, the brutality that these guys have to survive on their own. And not going to spoil anything at all, but as the movie goes along too, these characters, you slowly start to see what happens after a long period of time. Like they're losing weight, they're like the sun's killing them and all that, and the whale's still coming after them. I mean, it's just really dark shit It's really brutal stuff happening here. So, and when they actually show the whale again, I really wanted to watch this film in 3D because I do want to see how it would look like underwater. Because when they do underwater shots, it really looks very like something I would see on like an IMAX, like a big IMAX screen. So, and the music too is very beautiful as well. I forgot who did the score, but he really picked whenever the whale comes in and is doing all that shit. The music is very great to go with the mood. It captures the feeling the men go through and all that. And I know I'm repeating myself, but you get what I'm saying. So after watching the film, I start to realize that this film is less about Moby Dick, of the inspiration, and more about a survival still. Because if you really break it down, this film is more of a mixture between Castaway and if Castaway just happened to be like him still stranded before he gets to an island and all that, and it's mixed with Moby Dick. So I really did enjoy this film a lot. I mean, it's not a great film, but it's still very entertaining to watch. I do recommend. I'd probably going to give it a 7 out of 10. It has some little trouble with the pacing and some of the how the story kind of goes in the very end, but I still got into it overall. So I will say check it out, and I'll be back next time with another review with Eddie. So hope everyone enjoys the rest of your night, and I'll see you guys later.